of the benefits of traveling to the garden writers meetings is the opportunity for us to meet with experts from a wide range of horticulture fields. And one such expert that we had the opportunity to visit with here in North Carolina happens to be a familiar face to Oklahoma gardening. This is John Dole. John Dole used to be with us at the Horticulture Department in OSU, and he's now at NC State. John, thanks for having us out here today.
Well, thank you for coming. It's been great to meet up with Oklahoma folks again.
Absolutely, and good to have you back on the show. It's been a few years, hasn't it?
It has been.
What the research that you do here is primarily with cut flowers, and I had the opportunity, of course, to listen to some of what you've been experimenting with. I think it's really interesting. I would love if you could share some of your post-harvest experimentation with us.
Okay. We have a big post-harvest project. It started when I was at Oklahoma State University. We've continued it here. We work with a lot of different species. We work with a lot of species people are familiar with: roses, carnations, chrysanthemums. We focus on everything from the water that's used for cut flowers to how to store them, what temperatures to store them, how long they can stay dry out of the water. And we have part of our project that focuses on the genetics of roses. Different roses last a different amount of time, and what we're trying to do is figuring out why some roses last longer than the others and what we can do about that.
So your research is really targeting all the steps involved with growing cut flowers, as well as once you get them in the house, how to keep them longer in the home.
Exactly. Everything from the genetics and the new species to production to shipping to the florist or the supermarket or the farmer's market, and then to the consumer's home.
Okay, and you shared a few interesting tips for all of us consumers once we get our flowers home, how to make them last a little bit longer.
Former grad student and I did a study with all the various home remedies for making cut flowers last longer. The aspirin, copper pennies, all sorts of things that have popped up over the years. And really one of the simplest that we found is to take any of the like Sprite, 7-Up, Sierra Mist, and mix it 50-50 with water.
And that keeps our flowers looking better longer.
It has, yeah, that mixture has all the components of a flower food. It's got sugar, it's got something to lower the pH, which makes the water go up the stem better, and it has chemicals to keep bacteria and things from growing.
Well,
so it's perfect.
There we go, scientifically proven. 7-Up
Exactly.
works.
Yes.
Well, the gardens that we're standing in are your trial gardens, and you get to try new varieties that are coming onto the market. And I found it very interesting. We have some of our old standards, our zinnias and our snapdragons, but you have a lot of really different material out here as well.
We sure do. This is part of the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers National Trial Program. We get in the latest new cut flower varieties from all over the world, and we try them here. In addition, we send them out to growers around the country. So there's anywhere from 30 to 50 growers in the US and Canada that try these as well.
What are some of the characteristics you're looking for in the cut flowers?
For the commercial end of it, we look for productivity.
Okay.
Lots of flowers. We want to get lots of stems to cut and sell. We look for stem length. They have to be long enough to handle it commercially. A homeowner, you know, anything can be cut and put in a little bit of bud vase.
Right.
But when it comes to a commercial grower, we usually need something at least 18 inches.
Oh.
And if we can get it to 3 feet, even better.
Wow.
But 18 is sort of our minimum that we want for a good commercial cut. Of course, there's always exceptions, but yeah, that's the general rule. We look for insects and disease resistance. We don't want them to be too hard to take care of.
Yeah.
We look for adaptability. You know, something might do very well here in North Carolina, but it may not do well in California or even Oklahoma. So we look for those that do well over the whole country. And then, of course, we look for how do the customers like them. It doesn't matter how much I personally like a flower. If you know, if the general public doesn't care for it much, then there's no reason to grow it. So we, the growers send in their ratings. How did they sell? How did the customers like them? And then, of course, the final thing we look at is the post-harvest life. Again, something can be beautiful, but if it only lasts a day or two, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Right.
Well, can you show me some of the more unusual material that's starting to become a part of the cut flower world?
Sure. I think one of the fun things of working with the cut flower industry is it's just such a creative group. They will cut and harvest almost anything. They look at plants differently. They look at them from how can they be used as a cut flower. And that's really something a homeowner can do as well. You know, we're so used to, you know, the classic flowers, you know, like these beautiful, beautiful zinnias, but look around your yard and look at everything to see how it can be used. One of the fun things to look at is woodies.
Okay.
This is salix here, willow, and this is one known as flame.
That's a beautiful yellow stem.
Gorgeous stem, and as it gets colder, the color will get a little brighter, a little more orangey. You can wait till the very end of the season when the foliage falls off naturally, but if you want to use it now, all you do is just simply strip the foliage. You know, so don't be shy.
Yeah.
Just
experiment a little and give things a new twist. Look at that.
And then you get the stems, and then these work very nice to put in arrangements and get the color.
Absolutely.
Get out my handy clippers here. And if you got any little tips that don't look particularly good, just trim them off. You know, now you've got a very bright, colorful stem that can be used in flower arrangements.
Put a bunch of these together, you're going to have a really nice and also very vertical, strong, upright form as well. So a lot of color and a lot of structure.
Yes. One of the other, you know, one of our old-time perennial or native plants is this shrub. It's called Beautyberry. This particular one is called Welch's Pink. And you can see the beautiful berries right now. And in the fall, the leaves will fall off naturally. But unfortunately, by that point, the berries start to fall off.
They do, they get loose.
So what we tell people to do is just go ahead and do the same thing. Trim it up. You can leave the green berries on if you want, or you can cut them off. And then just start removing the leaves. You'll lose a few berries in the process. Commercial growers have ways of doing this without losing berries, but that's a little more involved. And so once you do that, then you can really start to see the berries.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. And this, you know, grows naturally in Oklahoma, so something that we have in our landscape, and we can also find out in our backyards.
It's native to southeastern Oklahoma, and you can grow it in other parts of Oklahoma. It tends to freeze back in the winter. That's okay. It'll sprout up from the base, and in fact, if it doesn't freeze back, it's usually helpful to cut it very low, because then you get nice, long, arching stems.
Excellent, good tips.
Another fun one to try is basils. There's a lot of basils being grown these days. There's a lot of new basils, and this particular one, Cardinal, has a beautiful stem. And what's nice about basil, besides some of these cultivars that have a long stem, is you can put them in an arrangement and they add fragrance.
I could smell that right here. It smells wonderful.
It's great. There's lemon basils, there's citrus basils, there's all different fragrances, so just find the one you like and add it in. Lemon basil in particular works pretty well because it adds a real fresh lemony scent to bouquets.
Sure there's other herbs too that you can cut and bring in and add to the arrangement as well to add some scents.
Rosemary's another great one. Lemon verbena. It has tall arching stems, very nice. So yeah, exactly.
Okay. I noticed another very colorful stem you have in here, the 9-bark.
Yeah, this is a cultivar derived from our native species, 9-bark, Physocarpus. And this is Diabolo. And what's nice about it are the dark stems and the dark foliage. We have another one in the trials that's looking quite good. It's got a little more delicate foliage. This is called Coppertina. And there's a very similar one called Summer Wine. Again, beautiful color. And this has a white flower in the spring, and we don't care about it. We like the foliage. This is a great mixer. You can see it blends well with some of these colors.
It picks up a lot of different
it looks
colors.
really good with those zinnias, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely.
So again, looking at different things in the garden in a different way.
One more fun thing I saw in here are your peppers.
Yes. Peppers are fairly common as a cut flower. And You can see all the beautiful fruit. The one thing we notice on peppers, and we keep trying different cultivars every year, is the foliage does not hold up very well.
Okay.
So what we tell people to do is this one happens to have a lot of small leaves, so it's not the easiest, but go ahead and remove the foliage, and that way you can see the peppers better. The foliage lasts 2 or 3 days, and then it starts to look kind of ratty.
How long do the peppers last?
They usually last about 2 weeks.
Okay, wonderful.
And so you get all these great colors from the red to the orange to the purple. And so yeah, peppers. Even the bell pepper, it's amazing. If you get near the end of the season and frost is coming, cut them, bring them in. They just, you mix them with some flowers. They look really cool. So yeah.
So it's a good idea. Look around. One other thing that we can see off in the distance are the grasses as well.
Oh yeah. Grasses, there's a number of growers around the country that are growing them. They work really well. There's just so many different kinds. In fact, some of the native grasses also work pretty well. Some of them is miscanthus. Just work great. They have quite a nice vase life. You can cut them young when they're kind of greenish, or you can wait until the fall when they get more color, and they work pretty well.
Experiment a little.
That's right.
You also have some really magnificent echinaceas, all the new colors that are coming out and breeding.
It's just been a wonderful time to be a gardener because all these new echinaceas are just gorgeous. This one's called tomato soup. Look at that color. It's just rich and intense. And then this one's called Merlot. This is more closer to the original purpurea type. What's fun about echinaceas, first of all, is these colors. We're getting just a broad range of colors. And so there's almost any color for any preference now. And the flowers last a long time. The vase life on these things lasts anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 weeks. They just last forever.
And that center, of course.
Oh yeah, thanks for noticing that. In fact, near the end of the season, sometimes the petals can start looking a little ratty. This one here doesn't have the best color on it. And what you can do is pull the petals off, and what you have is a real funky little colored, it's a very different look.
Yes.
So if the petals don't look good, just pull them off, and this will last even longer. So many ways you can use echinacea.
It's another way to just experiment with what we have and
That's right.
try things in a different way. Well, before we leave, could you share some tips about collecting cut flowers from the garden and the best way to cut them so that they'll last longer?
Sure. Probably the best way is to get a bucket, something, put in a little bit of water, and carry it out with you into the garden. And then as you cut, put them in the bucket. Here we have some gomphrena. And this is a good one because I find most people tend to be too careful when cutting cut flowers.
Okay.
They will come in and they'll cut a little tiny stem like this.
Yeah.
What you really, don't be shy. Some of these plants really can take it. Just go in, cut way down, and end up with a lot of stem that you can have to work with.
It gives you a lot more to work with, and it's also a bit fuller too.
Right.
So
right.
you can fill up the top of the vase as well.
Right.
By doing that. We want to put them right in our water.
Put them right in the water. Some things will tend to wilt very easily. If they are a flower that wilts easily, then you're going to want to cut them early in the morning.
Okay.
Cutting things early in the morning is when the water level in the flower is the highest. And that's usually what commercial growers do as well. Other flowers are more durable, like this Echinacea. You can probably cut that any time during the day and it'll be just fine. So a little bit of practice you'll figure out. And then when you get them up into the house, then go ahead, and remove a lot of the foliage. You can do that right in the garden, because it's just going to break down and you don't have to clean it up.
Fertilizer.
And then when you get it into the house, go ahead and cut a little bit off the stem and then start doing whatever you want for arranging. And even for those that aren't flower arrangers, what's really cool is to put a lot of one species together.
That looks beautiful.
Just take a vase, put all snapdragons in, and you can take another vase, put all Echinacea in, and they're just gorgeous and no talent required, which is the way I like to do flower arranging.
There's a lot of myths about when to cut them, put them in the cold, or put them in boiling water.
Right.
Can you help clear up some of those for us?
Sure. We've tested a number of those. Besides the whole aspirin and the penny thing, putting the stem ends in boiling water, we've not found that to be effective on any species we've tried it on yet. Another one is to burn the ends of the stem. We've not found that to be effective either.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the best thing is to give a good clean cut with a nice sharp either
Okay.
cutter or scissors.
Mm-hmm.
Put them right in the water. Keep the foliage out of the water. When foliage is in the water, the leaves will start to break down.
Yeah.
And when they break down, a lot of microbial growth starts.
Okay.
And then that gets drawn up into the stem and makes them not last very long. The other thing is hot water. We've not found that very effective either. Occasionally a little bit is, for the most part, just regular tap water is perfectly fine. So in effect, handling cut flowers is a lot simpler than it might appear when you read some of the books.
Absolutely. And of course we can collect cut flowers from our own backyard, but what are some other good sources?
Well, there's a lot of great places to get cut flowers, and I think most folks would be surprised at how many local growers they have. The farmers markets are a good place to find cuts in the summer, but even we have cut flower growers all around the country, including Oklahoma, that grow cut flowers in the greenhouses during the winter. So, for example, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Stillwater, you can go in and ask for local Oklahoma-grown cut flowers, and chances are they'll be able to get them for you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for sharing all your knowledge on cut flowers with us.
It's been fun. Thank you for coming.